Hey, this is Lance's Legends. I'm here with my dear friend Scott Miles, and it's the 50th anniversary. We're old men, Scott.
Rumor has it.
Just a quick story to start with. My daughter was dating the guy that she's now married to. I would tell him stories of escapades, and Ryan used to always say, yeah, the older you get, the better you were. And I had a friend who was in a picture of Scott and I that was taken up here at Sundance, this picture behind us here. And I used to tell him, I got this picture you're in. And he was on the Olympic committee at the time, and he finally came to the house one day and I showed him the picture. He goes, if you send this picture to Pattern Magazine, I guarantee if you will send this picture in, they'll put it. So it was in the photo annual in 1995. And after that, my now son-in-law quit saying that about me. Scott and I would like to recount the story of the world's only tandem forward flip that's ever been done.
Did a lot of planning and practicing, and then went up and threw the thing up here at Sundance, and it was great fun.
Well, it started off that I was at a regional competition and had just thrown a disastrous attempt at a double forward flip. As I was picking myself up at the bottom, these two ski patrolmen from Solitude jumped off the Galande jump. They were hooked together on one pair of skis. They had these like 220 centimeter skis. In my brain, I was thinking, I can't compete with these guys from the Bob Theobald's Get Hot program, but this is a way we could win first place. and so I thought two guys could do a forward flip on a pair of skis, and I bought a 230 centimeter pair of skis. And then for quite a while I tried to talk somebody into doing it with me, and no one would do it. And
it's hard to find people as crazy as I am, apparently.
Yeah, or me, yeah. But we had a group of us that would travel to different places. Nowadays, the ski resorts build jumps.
Yeah, they didn't then.
No, back then they kicked them down. I mean, if you built a jump, they kicked it down. And now they get the snowcats and they build these big jumps, but not back then. Okay. We were renting. I mean, people that jumped were considered kind of the outlaws.
Yeah, right. And there were signs around, no inverted aerials, no this or that, no jumping, whatever. We were building our jumps, by the way, with shovels. I mean, there was no equipment involved besides a shovel and brute force. We were in good shape, I think. We were
young and dumb. we would go up usually on a weeknight, Wednesday night, and depending when the snow for the week came, and we would build these jumps, and we'd have 2 or 3 big scoop shovels, and we'd take 5 or 10 gallons of water, and we'd build these jumps, and we'd ice them down. And then on Saturday, we'd come back.
They'd be solid.
And and we could jump. And we'd pack down the in-runs if there'd been more snow, and pack down the outruns. And it was just a few of us, so the packing was probably not like a cat would do or anything.
No, we just sidestepped the hill.
Yeah, we sidestepped it a little, and but when you hit hard, you kind of sunk, and which was a good and a bad thing, depending which if you landed on your head or your feet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Scott had been to a couple of semesters at BYU, and I had a home that I was renting up on Highland Drive. It was a bachelor house. And Scott's an engineer extraordinaire.
Mechanical engineer.
Mechanical engineer.
Medical devices.
Before the days of microwaves, though, I got to tell this story, because we had a way to cook hot dogs. It was so cool. Scott took this cord off of something and cut it off, and then he attached 2 forks to the neutral and the hot lead, and we would take a hot dog and plug the fork in either end of it and put it on a plate. And I mean, 20 seconds, maybe 30 at the most.
Okay, do not try this at home, kids. This is you got to know what you're doing. Don't be touching anything and get it all set up, and then we would plug it in and stand back.
It wouldn't kill him. It would just
let you know.
Bite him a little with a 110.
Kaboom.
The hot dog would be cooked, just like 20 seconds later, it would split and be bubbling and spitting. We had both become religious. Scott was planning to go on a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So I convinced Scott that mechanically it made more sense that if the weight was on the ends of a stabilizer, a ski, and it started rotating, that it actually made more sense that it would do a flip than if the stabilizer was on either side of the weight. And I don't know if that's true or not, but
Yeah.
I convinced Scott.
Little physics involved. Well, we made it work. You know?
Yeah, we
What can you
did.
say?
And we got the skis mounted. We put 2 pair of bindings on them, as you can see in this picture. We started strategizing.
Let me just
Yeah,
jump
go
in
ahead.
here and say the skis, as I recall, Lance went to the Sears and Roebuck ski rental place, and they had a pair of skis that had been delaminated out there near the front, and so they sold them for either $5 or $10.
Yeah, they were cheap. I don't remember,
Yeah.
but they were 230 centimeters
Yeah, big old
long.
long thing. But we didn't mind the delamination because we were mounting bindings right through it and holding it all together with the screws for the binding. So anyway, just a little.
No duct tape involved, though.
No.
Oh, it fixes everything.
Yeah.
We started discussing how we would throw this flip. And if you've done flips, you know what I'm talking about. It's not just you go off and you're done. You go off and you have to do different things in the process of the rotation. The plan was when we hit the kicker, I was in the front of the skis and I would dive.
Lance, Scott.
Yep. And I would dive over the front of the skis, and Scott would lay out,
Yeah. Boom, jump. You know.
and that would start the front of the skis down, the back of the skis over. That was our plan. And then as the skis came over, Scott would tuck really hard, and I would open up. And hopefully that would push the front of the skis forward. You can kind of see here what it didn't work this day. We had decided the only way we could practice is through visualization.
It was a little too heart in your throat kind of a thing to do, to just go, let's go try this 10 times in a row and see how it, see what our average is. When you did it, you were amazed you pulled it off, and a little terrified on the way into the jump on the in run.
I was a lot terrified on the internet.
Yeah, it was like you're looking at that thinking, bail out or not.
I can't turn the skis. So we broke it down into days. And the first day, all we thought about was what it would be like to come down the in run, how it would feel strapped to these skis coming towards this kicker. And then the second day, we thought about the initial pop. And then the third day, we thought about, and Scott, as you can see, was really good at the secondary pop.
Lance wanted to look good. I wanted to get that thing over.
Well, we failed.
No,
On
we-
both
no.
accounts, I
No,
looked terrible,
no.
and we didn't get it over.
Here we are all those years later. We're talking about it. There's a picture on the wall. That's not a fail. That's an adventure.
Yes. Oh, and speaking of picture on the wall, we do want to thank Sundance for the Lookout Cafe, and they have this picture on the wall. It's kind of fun to bring your grandkids up here and show them that
Yeah.
you did actually do the things you tell stories about. We broke it all down, and then on Saturday, we went up to our jump. So we packed down the outrun, packed down the in-run, and then Scott and I carried these skis up to the top of the in-run, and we're looking down there, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, you just think, am I really going to throw myself off that, attached to this other guy where the control is not all yours and whatever.
And I don't have medical insurance.
Yeah, that too. The very first time down the in-run, we just turned off to the right and bailed out of the actual jump on that in-run. So we practiced the in-run to say, okay, yeah, we can steer ourselves down this thing without going off.
The second time, we were hauling buns down this in-run, and we hit the kicker. I threw it just as hard as I could. Both of my bindings released. So Scott found himself.
I was in midair, and I had done the layout over his back. Lance had popped out of the bindings, and I had a bunch of ski in front of me and a little bit behind me, but I clearly remember, I have the image of looking down right between my boots and seeing Lance's face as I came around to land. And I thought, I just, in midair, I started to try to turn sideways so I would shorten the length. The tails of my skis were hanging back and were going to hit you in the face. So I remember doing that. Of course, then I hit sideways and did a big egg beater down the hill.
But we both landed on our feet.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally stuck the landing, because I remember I went in feet first and was like halfway up my thighs in snow.
And I was still flying to land on him, basically.
We looked at each other and we realized that the rotation was going to work.
Yeah. That's what we said. We said, we're going to do this.
This
is
can
gonna
work.
Yeah.
And so we filled in the 2 holes we had made. And then we climbed back up and we took this scoop shovel and we tightened the top of my Nevada Grand Prix as tight as they would go.
It has a big slotted screw on there to adjust the binding tightness. And clearly, we didn't
it's
have
big
any
enough that a
tools.
scoop shovel was the tool we used. But after the first jump, the guys were hooting and hollering. I thought it was great because we crashed, and that's really what crowds like. And so the next time we sat up there and we talked about it, we psyched each other. I'm like, we can do this, it's going to work. We came bombing down the run. We hit the kicker, and we did everything as we had planned. I dove over the front of the skis. Scott laid out. Then he tucked up, and I opened up and came around and landed it.
Yeah, boom.
But we stuck the landing, and the guys that were there, their mouths were open. There was not a peep. Scott and I were jumping up and down and cheering and so excited. But those guys were just awestruck.
It was. I still remember. We hit that landing and skied down and then went and tipped over down the mountain somewhere. 'Cause we were in softish snow and had 2 people driving the same pair of skis.
So anyway, we thought for sure we're going to win the next most spectacular Glande contest.
And we got most of the way there.
But the crowd liked crashing. It's kind of like NASCAR, you know.
or a fight in hockey.
Yeah, exactly. But on this particular day, there was a thing going on. It was a bunch of guys holding hands going off a backflip.
Side by side by side by side.
All at the same time. 6 or 7 guys in Vermont did it. They declared it was a world record. Not to be outdone, some guys in Colorado did it with 12 guys. Well, not to be outdone, the first competition in Utah that year was at Sundance. And so they built a kicker that it had to be 50 feet long.
It was wide.
And it was not high. It was maybe 4 feet high and all across the top of Mandan Run. And these guys had 17 of them. The Hot Skins team, the Rosignol team, and the Hexel team were all there. All of these guys, this is Daryl Wagstaff.
This is the Hot Skins.
Yeah, that's the Hot Skin guys. Bobby Bills is up there. Bob Salerno. I mean, there's some world freestyle champions in that picture that were on those teams. They let go of their hands, so it didn't count as a world record. Somebody let go, or a few people let go, so it didn't count. And now it's up to 23. I'm going to put some pictures in this video so you can see kind of the progression of this gainer competition. There was just a new record set this last year in it.
23, huh?
Yeah, 23. Then they went to the most spectacular part, and there were guys. Daryl Wagstaff was there and did his monster layout flip, and all these guys that were really polished. And Scott and I were like the Levi's crew, Didn't have a coach. We just coached ourselves. But so back to the story with these guys from all the teams. They tried this gainer. Then they did all these spectacular flips. And then we discussed with them, back in those days, everybody had a different idea what a kicker should be shaped like.
Yeah.
And now they have templates that they use, and they're all exactly the same. Well, back then, it depended whose school you went to and who you listened to.
Yeah, who was the last guy with a shovel at the jump?
Yeah, exactly. That was really true.
That's what did it. That's what did it.
And for forward flip jumps, we liked to have a little bit of a kicker, right? Like a little abrupt thing at the end. It almost caused your skis to kind of bind a little, and then you could leap out over it. And that really caused your rotation. And now they don't think that's smart, because your rotation should be controlled by the jumper, not the jump.
You should throw the jump. The jump shouldn't throw you.
We didn't think that was smart. And we just said, look, we wanted to shave this down a little, just change the angle of the kicker just a little bit. They would not hear of it. It was like we didn't know what we were talking about. We went up the in run, and we decided we are going to have to get some major air to make this work this time, because there's no kicker there.
It was a great gainer jump. We were going forward, of course. So
we went way up into the trees on Mandan. There was a cameraman from KSL with one of those big, huge old cameras on a tripod. I mean, it was as big as this table. He was on the same side this picture's taken from. Yeah. And then all the ski team guys were on this side of the picture. but they were kind of mocking us on the loudspeakers. They were like, "These guys are crazy," but they... And so Scott and I were like, I was scared out of my mind because I thought, there's no kicker here, and it's a backflip jump, but we're going to make this work.
Off we went.
Off we went. I mean, we were hauling buns. We hit that jump, and we flew.
I felt in the air. I felt we're not quite going fast enough, so I tucked tight, like that picture shows. I was trying to get around,
and I was trying to push them around on the front.
Yeah, and we got, as I remember, we got the skis approximately perpendicular to the landing.
Yeah, and then I came down right on top of you.
And exactly. And so when we hit, there was I remember standing about waist deep in the hole we made, and Lance landed on top of me, and then of course we, blew out down the hill from there. But it was hard landing, and we made a big hole in it, the two of us.
But we were young and green-boned, and we could.
That's all right. Nothing broke.
You just don't bounce, Steve, like you do when you're 20. Anyway, this is the only time a forward tandem flip has ever been done, and that was 50 years ago this month. There's not been a lot of tandem inverted aerials.
To my knowledge, no one has ever done a forward tandem flip.
No, except us.
Except us. And we did it the weekend before the Sundance event, and landed it and loved it, and then we did the Sundance event.
And crashed terribly.
And got 15 minutes of fame on KSL television.
Yes, and a shout out to KSL. Somewhere in your archives, you got these pictures.
Yep.
And they were a big hit. They showed them on the 6 o'clock news between the sports and the weather. And then on 10 o'clock news on Sunday, they showed them between sports and weather. And then on Monday, I remember distinctly Bob Welty saying, "We weren't going to show this again, but we've had so many calls, we're going to show it again." But all week they kept playing this same reel. So somewhere in the archives of KSL is the only actual video of this jump. And they ought to have it organized by now, KSL. Come on.
Didn't you put an intern on organizing all that stuff? And now
digitizing it, 1974 March.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it was a Saturday, only 4-ish days it could have been.
Yeah. That's our story.
Yeah, that was a blast. From time to time, I've had that picture up on my computer at work or something as a screensaver. People will walk by behind you, and then they'll stop and look and say, "What is that?" And I said, "Well, that's me and my friend Lance. We did that tandem flip." They can't believe that anyone would have done that, at least not in their right mind.
We were both in our right mind.
Yes, we were.
No chemicals involved.
Yeah.
If you go to snowbrains.com and do tandem flip, you can read the whole story. Powder Magazine put a picture of it.
Yeah, somebody gave me
a slide.
A slide, yeah.
And that's the only record that we have of it.
Yeah, we, of course, got it enlarged since then.
Anyway, Scott drove down from Sandy today to do this, to Sundance. We want to thank Lookout Cafe again for letting us come in here and record this by our picture, and for posting the picture. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a story to tell the kids and grandkids, like you say.
Well, this has been Lance's Legends. I hope you enjoyed this, and tune in every Monday. We post a new legend. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.